Here we are in this beautiful town. As you can see, the frame rate is kind of dropping a bit because we have all of this foliage and all of these stalls around us, and these beautiful detailed ornaments, textures all over the place. But you can see some of the details that we spoke about before, like how the cobblestones is switched to these perfect tiles that have this curvature added to them, which, if you don't know that, curvatures are supposed to signify an advancement of society and technology, because edgy buildings or edgy crafts, tools, whatever, are very easy to produce in comparison to something that is smooth. That is why stuff like this for fantasy and so on have a lot of edge to it, and something like cyberpunk or sci-fi have a lot of smooth edges to them because they have technology to make something that looks perfectly spherical or circular or curvature, depending on like the profile that they wanted, if they want the weight to be on the top or the bottom or however kind of detail they want to. So I'm gonna ignore the loot for now. So where it is the area that I want to give you example of. So if you look closely at the ground, you can see that everything is clean and pristine, and the transition between the areas is almost non-existent. If you can see that the transition is just a brick. So you have one area that uses that diamond shape pattern, and you have these small lengthy rectangles separating between them, and the other hallway that uses normal shaped bricks, which, by the way, I think the area that I'm standing in, these stairs, I guess, the stairs and these small slender bricks, and these bricks right here that I'm standing on currently, all of them use the same texture, because this is just the same brick but stretched, and this one is just stretched but also scaled on the other axis. So that is a neat thing, saving on the texture space. But if you go further on, we're gonna see this perfect area that illustrates the knowledge that I want to bestow upon you. Here we can see the different transitions that I talked about. I think a good technique, if you want to make something like this, is material ID. This is something similar to the vertex, except this is an actual texture that is baked in. And here I think they used it because I think this as a whole, this ground is a singular mesh, but they need somehow to separate between all of these areas, because this map, they use different techniques that we talked about before, as where everything blend in gradually with the gradients and so on. In the previous one, here everything transitions suddenly. So you have bricks transition into these red bricks right here, transition into these things that they use on the steps. And the only way that you can do something like that is to have material IDs, and those IDs are referencing materials that already exist within the engine. Because a thing that we kind of fall victim to is that we have an engine that have a limited possibilities. So you cannot go with the unlimited possibilities and try to put in every material and texture that you can think of. You need to have a limited amount of them, but use them smart and cleverly. So that is why the material ID is used here, because you already supposedly know what kind of materials that you have. If you explored around the map, you're probably gonna see all of these materials right here. This the cobblestone right there, and the red bricks, and the bricks on the steps, and on top of that other surface right there. I think I still have the example. So right here, and in this example, I can show you the an actual use case of that. If you look right here, you can see that the three materials that I used here are separated with colors. So I'm using the same mesh, but I'm separating them with colors. This is very beneficial if you're using something like we shown before, the material instance or function, depending on what it's called in Unreal, but here it's called just a node. So in this example, I can do a live demonstration for that. So for the red one, for example, I want to have it being concrete. If you hold Control and unplug the node, you can drag it from its source to wherever you want to, similar to Substance Designer. So as you can see here, I don't need these nodes anymore. These are just used for tiles and kind of measurements. So I don't need them, but I still need these ones because if you're wondering what this is, these are vertex painting that I used because I am lazy and I don't want to create actual texture sheet that have the colors on it. Usually you want to have it as a a texture that have RGB on it, but I just use vertex painting to quickly demonstrate the idea. So right here, in comparison to this one on the bottom, if we look here on this small window right here, you will see that I'm using 3 materials on the same mesh, and that must be too much if you want to optimize. On the one above it, there is, as you can see, just one material, but it uses all of these different ones that are blended between them in a clever way, let's just say. And I don't think I have any information right here on the vertices because I used them as a mask. But if I didn't and I used an actual texture to mask them, I can use vertex painting and have same result like I have here with the details on the tiles, having some of them broken and some of them still intact, and the kind of peeling of the plaster and so on. So that is the idea of the material ID. You can go with both of them, like assigning each one like we have in the bottom example, but I think this one is more neat and easy to control because you're opening just one master material and controlling it easily. And if you want to change anything, you can go back to the source if you're presumably using these material functions or group nodes as they call in Blender, and change in whatever you want there, you want to replace it, because that is the advantage of using these types of materials with seamless and trim textures. You can change them whenever you want to and add in that way a lot of variation very easily and very quickly. So with that, we move on to the last part of the town and village comparison. So in the last part, I want to talk about something very important. Look at the buildings. These buildings, by the way, looks very Parisian, very French, Paris oriented. If you look at those, I think, yeah, it is in Paris, next to the IV Tower, the Eiffel Tower, or La Tour Eiffel, as the French best is called. Uh, you will see those buildings with the blue rooftops, and I think that is what they use as a reference for these ones, because these, if you look up there, they look very similar. In contrast with the ones on the village, you will see that these are clearly using tiles or using modular asset case, where you see that this window repeats over there and these pillars repeat, and also this kind of arch doorway is the same one as this, and the same one, where is it? Here it is 3 times repeated to create a very long roof, and so on. And I think it is stretched and used like a rectangle and another place, but you can see that to create that contrast, this is a very kind of modular industrial building society or civilization. That is why they don't have a unique thing going on, even though each one of the buildings is unique, because you will have to make them to make a different assets out of the original modular kit. Making different assets is the biggest advantage of using modular kits, because it is like working with Minecraft, the way that we all will have the same blocks, but each one of us will have a different result or different creation. Also, like Minecraft, if you use or have played the modded one, where you can use like a stamp tool, where you can replicate or copy what you have created, if it is a house or something, and put it somewhere else. That is, I think, what they did with adding detail to the top of buildings, because if you look at the buildings over there, they're using buildings on top of buildings to add detail to them and make the skyline look a bit more interesting, because that right there, that looks like the top of a building, it is actually another building that is from there, that is just copied and pasted over there to look like a huge tower. So if you look at this one that is visible, you will see that it is just that building. You can see the doorway and everything, but the other one is the very clear example, with it being just a building copy pasted. So you can create or expand the modular kit just by gluing a bunch of them together and keeping going from there until you create this something like this beautiful place, I guess, question mark, since it is motivated by French architecture. I don't want to use the word beautiful, but here is an example in Blender to how I did create just a quick demonstration of how you can use the modular kits in a smart, clever way. So on the top corner right here, let me expand it. The top corner, you can see this is the modular kit asset thing that I created. You can see that we have the edges, we have the rooftops, one with the corner, the other one is going to be the middle. We have only windows right here. These are the trims that's going to be separation between the roof and the body of the building, and this trim is going to be separation between the bottom floor and the body of the building. This usually will have something in the corner, but since I have these bricks, I didn't make a corner piece, which making a corner piece is very easy. You just have to rotate it. Hold on, I will show you an example. I'm recording this live. So making a corner piece is very easy. I'm gonna duplicate this, focus on it. All you have to do is rotate the edge 45 degrees, extrude it. I think I messed that up. Here we go. I think I rotated it first the wrong direction, and you scale this on whatever axis. Like this one is the y-axis, and you scale it on 0. So you type in 0 so it's flattened, and do the same thing here. This is the x-axis, hit 0 and it is flattened, and you're trying to make it fit within a square, within that these guidelines that you have here in this grid. And yeah, we have a corner piece of this 10 right here, which uses the wrong. Here we go. Now it uses the right material. So as you can see, it is easy to create corner pieces, but that isn't what I want to talk about. What I want to talk about is the use of these modular kits cleverly, which we're gonna look at right here. Ignore this mess. We're gonna go back to it soon, but look at this building that I pointed to in the previous talks that failed miserably. So looking at this building that I wanted to be a bit longer because I want to reuse it, but I messed up. The building is very simple, and it uses all of the assets that we have in a very predictable, boring way. So we have corner pieces being mirrored on the sides, actually similar to the example that we saw in this area right here. And we have the trim that separates between this and the bottom floor. We have the main body, and on it we have if you look closely right here, this trim is part of the grid. So you need to make the window a bit lower for it to be looking right. So yeah, I just used the array modifier a couple of times, and that's it. You have the trim of the top and the rooftop corner piece in the middle one. This is what you usually make, but this as a whole can be part of the modular kit. Maybe we can remove the bottom floor or keep it like this. If we remove the bottom floor, for example, and I hope I don't break anything. I baked in this shit, fuck me. So if we remove the bottom floor and we use just this piece as another part that we can add in to detail that big building, we can use that and reuse it in other areas if we want to even. So we're gonna look at the big building and we see what we use differently. Again, these are just the equivalent of sketches. In matter of fact, if you're interested and if you're staying here listening this long, I will show you the sketches behind this. Bask in the glory of those sketches. These are the sketches that I used for blocking out the building. As you can see, I have some sun or whatever you call this. these are the shapes that we have. So this is how you usually do the concept art if you're trying to break them. And this shape of the building that's shaped like a donut is supposed to be just a further exaggeration of what I'm trying to make here, which the front face is supposed to be full of the windows, and the middle of it is empty, and the sides being filled with windows, or the doors being like open cafes or stores and so on. And the rooftop will be just having the trim of the roof instead of having all of the other stuff that we put on top of it. So that's it. And there's the additional one for the rails to add in extra detail, because we have only one unique asset that we added here, which is not unique, because if you're making the whole map, this will be part of the asset kit, because you want to use it in other areas, like here it is, like this one right here that I'm sending before it. This part of the detail already exists, so you reuse it. The key thing that you can come out of this long video with is reuse as much as possible, but do it cleverly. Don't be too obvious with it. So going back, you will see that this building is made out of the bottom floor is using just an array of these pieces that we saw here. The middle one, two of the corner of the side, but I used this as a whole, as a part of the asset kit, and I duplicated and I put it on the side here and here. Another unique use of the edge bricks is that I just stretch them out and use them to add in or break in the repetition that we have here. And the way that I stretch them is half width of the blocks that I used here, because everything here needs to be measured. If I look closely at it, you can see that this is 3 meters. Hold on, this is 3 meters point 2. So for these ones need to be like 1.6 long. So the tiling will not break. You won't have some small gaps or anything. Everything will fit neatly together. This is another point when you're making your assets and when you're trying to reuse as much as possible. Keep that in mind. The measurements are pretty important here, and they can make or break everything. So these ones that you see over here are half width of these main blocks that I use here, which this is 3.2, and the bottom floor ones are also 3.2. Same goes with the trims, and same goes with the rooftop tiles. All of them are the same width. They might differ in height, but all of them are the same width. This doesn't apply for every building, because every building is different. So you might want to change or make different modular assets to make your scene look a bit more varied and diverse. So going back to this demonstration, going back to the demonstration over here, I tried to add in these blocks like the doorways that we saw here, like these ones right here in front of me. That is what these cubes are supposed to represent. Then we move on to the body. The main body have just a pattern, basically, is what this is. These windows are. These windows, again, this is just the base mesh, because you can add in on top of it. For example, if it's an urban setting, you can add in a bunch of ACs and so on. And even the windows need to have variation, with some of them being open, some of them having a different texture, like this one that looks like a cross flipped upside down. Some of them need to look like a grid, or some of them need to look like have a circular pattern, and that can be achieved using a texture that just moves in a random number on the X or the U and the V, because you're moving it randomly in the UV coordinates. So that is to add in variation there. Since this is a fantasy, I think we can add in maybe some rails in here, or some clotheslines, for example, to add in a bit of variation. Also materials, because materials are something that is very ignored, and they are very important. They are like colors. The same way that you need to have your primary, secondary, and tertiary colors that's used for accents, you need to do that with materials. So to break in the monotonous repetition, I use the same bricks again and just stretch them just a little bit this time, and break it in a way that we have a big one in the middle and small parts on the sides. So yeah, you can also break it if you want to with something like this, having not medium and big, but having straight up just small and big. And as you can see, it looks good, it looks easy on the eye, other than if it was just like this, which look very computer generated. So moving on to the top. To the top here, if I didn't bake in or just merge everything, having these bottom floors, it will look a bit more better, because having this same, which is that building over there that have the arrow pointing to it, is the same one that I just duplicated and put here, tiled it a bunch of times. And as you can see, it adds in into the silhouette. That if we look at it like this, it adds in into the silhouette and makes it look a bit neat. And just to top everything off, we have this part in the middle that is supposed to be like a dome, but actually in reality it is just the corner pieces, as you can see here in the wireframe mode. And if we cross-reference it with the one in the corner right here, these are just the corner pieces and one in the middle, but I scaled them up to look roughly like a dome. But because they are going to be here, and if I switch back to perspective mode and I put the camera down here, so this is roughly how you will be looking at it, and even if you're far away you will be seeing it like this. So it does look like a dome, and it will sell the effect of a dome looking shape. That way you won't be having to put too much time into modeling so many specific parts. So from this, what we can conclude is, again, reuse as much as you can, and yeah, always experiment with rotation and scale, because that way you will have a lot more into your asset kit than you usually have, because what we started with are just these couple of pieces, but we ended up with this building, with this one, and the other one that I showed in the concept art that looks a bit weird and awkward looking, but if I put more time into it, it will be a bit more unique. Also, in this one right here that is L-shaped, I just wanted to create something like this, but I didn't have the time. This one is just to show you that you don't have to have a boxy building. That isn't the only thing that you can do. Always experiment with shapes that you can tile your kit around, and that way you will have a very diverse setting. So yeah, that's it. I think that's all I have. Thank you all for listening, and make sure to have yourselves a damn good one, and look forward to the other analysis that I think will be a bit shorter than this and more straight to the point, because I think we dilly-dallied a lot in this one. But it is my first one, and I've been trying to make these for quite a long time. I have a lot of failures, but this one I think I will be uploading no matter what. Even though it turns out like shit, I will still upload it. So yeah, thanks for listening, and make sure to have yourselves a damn good one.